It's the new year! Well, a little bit late. We're in February, but all the same, cue the onslaught of the diet trends. No. In all seriousness, restricted dieting and diet trends, they rarely work. And as a dietitian, I'm gonna go through 5 reasons or 5 things that's wrong with the dieting mindset and what we can do instead. So before we begin, I just want to say I am not a HAES or health at every size expert. I'm still learning loads myself, but the hope for this video is that I can share a little bit of knowledge to help keep you guys informed. First thing that's wrong with the dieting mindset is that it forces you to restrict, oftentimes severely and suddenly. All of our bodies, they need different energy needs depending on our age, our activity level, height, weight, ethnicity, our genetics. And dieting just really, for the most part, restricts us to very low calories. Now, since we're not getting the energy that we need, we're usually hungry, irritable, lightheaded, or dizzy. We don't have energy. We're also not gonna get all of our nutrients because how can we when we can't even or don't even eat enough? When our body senses that we have a severe lack of energy, it actually holds on to its fat and energy stores, which really defeats the purpose of what we were trying to do in the first place. And it's not your fault, it's not your body's fault. Your body is just designed to keep you alive, and why should we blame it for that? So what can we do about it? Well, just ignore those diet trends. And I know that is so much harder to do than it is to say because they're so flashy and attention grabbing and everybody talks about them. But the next time that your friends or coworkers are talking about some new diet trend or cleanse that they're doing, just walk away, ignore their conversation, and just do not get dragged into that madness. Now, the second thing that's wrong with the dieting mindset is that it makes you believe you have no willpower. You have no self-control over anything, especially food. And this is really far from the truth. What's actually happening is that, again, you are restricting yourself to a point where you're not eating anything, you're not letting yourself eat anything, you're even thinking, I shouldn't have this, I can't have this. The more that we tell us that we can't have something, the more that we want it. When we succumb to that eventually, then we can have tons of that particular food or food items because we've been restricting ourselves for so long. And then which leads to the guilt and the feeling of lack of self-control, which then just starts the restrictive cycle all over again. So what can we do to help ourselves out of this situation? We need to think and allow ourselves to actually have those foods. You need to think, I am allowed, I can have those foods whenever I want. And if you're actually doing this properly, if you're not harboring any lingering thoughts or guilt in the back of your mind, you can find that you end up craving that particular food less. The third thing that's wrong with the dieting mindset is that it makes us feel like we don't deserve something or we did something wrong. Well, I guess I'll be doing a 30-minute jog later. Oh, hey. You want some? Oh, thank you so much. But no, that's okay. Yesterday I had a lot to eat, so I'm just gonna have this today. So we've kind of normalized this behavior, but it's basically us punishing ourselves. Now, specifically speaking towards the exercise equipment or the exercise or fitness, trackers or what have you, that we have, they do have their own significant margin of inaccuracy. And we also tend to always underestimate how much we actually eat and overestimate how much we actually do in terms of exercise. And then specifically towards those compensatory eating behaviors, just because we had maybe a lot more food than we usually do one day, it doesn't mean that our body needs less energy another day. And we really should not decide on that arbitrarily. Now, what kind of behaviors can we actually use instead? We want to follow our hunger and fullness signals that our body naturally has. So if you are feeling comfortably hungry or, I could go for something to eat, then have something to eat instead of waiting until you're feeling very hungry. If you are eating and you're feeling like you're at a comfortably full level, then stop eating instead of waiting until you are at the very full or uncomfortably full or painfully full level even. Now, a second tip is just to make sure that you have self-compassion. Imagine if we have a friend and we eat something like a cake, and our friend tells us, you know, you really shouldn't be eating that, you're gonna gain weight. How would you feel? We typically do the best job in the world of beating ourselves up, but we never want to hang out with friends that treat us like trash, right? The fourth thing that's wrong with the dieting mindset is that it gives you an all or nothing attitude, which is not helpful for your goals. Have you ever gave in on a food and then said screw it and went for more? Have you ever had a friend come over for a visit after a long time and you just go out and celebrate and have something to eat? Have you ever had such a busy schedule suddenly? No time to eat, no time to do anything except grab something nearby, which could be a chocolate bar, which could be some fast food. The thing is, we live life, trying not to sound too, cheesy here, but we don't really have 100% control over that. My tip for you guys for this is when you're reaching for a certain health goal or any health goal, really look towards the progress that you're making rather than being perfect about every single little thing. If something didn't go well, then we can look into that. We can try and find what exactly prevented things from going well or going the way that you thought that it would, and we can set up strategies around that. And the fifth thing that's wrong with the dieting mindset is that it can cause some negative health effects through the consequences that it produces. The dieting mindset, more often than not, creates something called the yo-yo effect. You are at a certain weight, you diet so that you lose the weight, and then you stop, you go back to your regular eating, you come back up, and you do this cycle all over again. So your weight goes up and down and up and down, which increases your risk of heart disease and also premature death. Frequent dieting can also slow our metabolism down and decreases the satiety cues or the fullness cues that our body provides us, which then doesn't really give us a good indicator of when we should stop eating or, how much is enough for us. And of course, constant dieting has psychological effects too. It gives you a lot of stress, it gives you a lot of anxiety, and you don't have as much self-confidence or self-esteem, and you have a very, very poor body image. You can also risk destroying your relationship with food. You typically become scared of food, you feel very guilty. When you are near food or eating food, you are scared to eat out with your friends. Basically, you lose control around food, you lose trust in food, you lose trust in yourself, and you can develop some pretty severe disordered eating habits or an actual eating disorder. So let's summarize. The dieting mindset and the actual act of dieting causes you to restrict your food severely, which causes you to crave foods. And once you actually have those foods, it makes you think you have no self-control. Then it makes you try to compensate that eating through behaviors like additional exercise or further restriction or any sort of self-punishment. You develop an all or nothing mindset, and the act of repeating diets itself will cause a negative health effects and induce poor mental health. Remember, you do not fail diets. It's the diets that fail you. Now, if you want to learn how to start maybe walking away from all this diet culture stuff and focus on developing a better relationship with food, I highly recommend this book. It's about intuitive eating, and it's by two registered dietitians, Evelyn Tripoli and Elise Reich. Now, I'm not saying that this book is the answer for you or for anyone or everybody out there, but it definitely is a very interesting read, one that I've read myself, and it can't hurt to gain more information about that area, or at least get a better sense of why dieting isn't the way to go. Now, like I've mentioned at the very beginning of this video, I am not a HAES or health at every size expert, nor even an intuitive eating expert. But I hope that this video has really enlightened you in terms of that search for a better relationship with food and a better way to reach your health goals instead of always dieting. Really hope that you guys like this video. Give me a thumbs up if you now hate diets and dieting more than ever. That's really my entire goal for this video. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. Thank you so much, and talk soon.